Welcome back, Inebri-art. It is me, Andy, as always. Today we actually are. I'm really excited because I don't think we've ever had a guest like this today. Today we're joined by Michelle Danner of Michelle Danner Acting Studios and the LA Acting Conservatory. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We've had a lot of actors on, but I don't think we've ever had anyone that taught acting before. How did you kind of? I mean, with two schools, how did you end up in this kind of spot in your life?
Well, I started as an actress, but first I should say that I started as the daughter of an agent. My father opened the very first offices of the William Morris Agency in Paris, in France,
Oh
in the
wow.
60s. He was the president. And so when I was little, when I was a little girl, 2, 3, 4 years old, I would go to work with him and play under his desk. And I was privy to all these big artists that would come in and talk about their dreams. And so that was, different and interesting. And then I grew up in Paris. I grew up in Europe. And then at the age of 15, we moved back to the States where I studied with Stella Adler and I studied with Uta Hagen and Herbert Bergdorf and some wonderful teachers that taught me the craft of acting. And so, because I studied it a lot, at some point, I think the decision was made walking in the beach in Los Angeles and Malibu that I should start a class. And I did. And then a class became two classes and three classes. And then I started a school and I had a faculty of teachers. And, everything is stepping stones in
Sure.
life.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a stepping stone. And so I love to act. I still do. If somebody offers me something and I'll act. I love to act and I love to direct. And of course, I love to teach.
So I've heard a lot of kind of like different, and I'm no means an expert or even a casual knowledge of the different types of acting, but I think if you're a fan of film, that you learn there's different types of acting. Is it how do you choose what type of acting do you do? Is it more the act you base it on the actor? Is it the role? Like how do you kind of choose which method to go with?
The method that you're going to use when you act.
Yeah.
I think you develop a way that works for you that encompasses different insights from different methods. So you have a way that you do it, and of course, my two favorite words are to pivot. So I love flexibility. So you have to be able to pivot and to change your mind and to go, no, I'm going to go this direction, depending on what the project is, where you're shooting it, what the character is, who's involved. You make different decisions. But I believe in preparation. I believe in researching, the character, the world of the character, who they are, you know, their lives, their dreams, their rage. I really believe in exploring all of that.
When it's just a script for a movie, like how do you research the actor when there's just the words on the page in the script? Is it through conversations with the writers or the director, or like how do you go about doing that research?
A lot of it is in the script. You just, they compare actors to detectives
Okay.
looking for clues. So a lot of the clues are underneath what someone says, the lines, the subtext of the character, what's not being said, but what people do, their actions. You can tell a lot what people's actions. And so therefore, from there you deduct a little bit, the rest of it. Stella Adler, a wonderful iconic teacher that I studied with, said, the script is the skeleton and the actors fill in the meat. You find the
Oh,
flesh
interesting.
and the blood. And so everything is in the script and you can let your imagination, go and make choices based on that.
Oh, interesting. So if you had two actors in the same role, it could be something entirely different.
Wouldn't that be a great experiment? Yes. Not
Yeah,
only two. They make one movie with four different actors. See, now that I just said that, that would make me want
that
to do
yeah.
that.
Well, it actually made me think of uh The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. It's a Terry Gilliam film, and
Uh huh.
it was Heath Ledger's last role, and he actually passed away during the movie. And Gilliam then went on to cast um, Heath's character with like Johnny Depp is in a portion of it. I think Colin Farrell. I might be getting some of those names wrong, but so like his character actually changes actors inside the movie, and so it is kind of portrayed. But and it's they're such good actors that I kind of stop. Like you kind of forget that you're not watching the original actor. So it's a really
Right.
interesting film. Yeah. So
Interesting. I love that. Yeah.
yeah. So you said your father was an agent. Was he supportive of this, or was he kind of like, I don't want my kid in the entertainment industry? Like, because I could feel like it could kind of go
No.
either way.
No, my dad was very supportive. As a matter of
That's awesome.
fact, I had an audition for a show in LA and I had gotten two callbacks. And he helped me pack. I was living in New York City at the time. And he helped and he packed my boxes and he shipped them to LA. He
Aw,
was very supportive. I know, pursuing
yeah,
my dreams. And he really helped me. And then he came to visit me and spent the latter years of his life, in LA to be close to me.
that's really cool. So tell us a little bit more about the schools. You said you kind of how you got started. So one is a acting studio and one is an acting conservatory. Is that just the name, or is there a difference between a studio and a conservatory? I just don't know the.
Well, yeah, no, there's a difference. A good question. The acting school, the Michelle Denner Acting School, our classes, if somebody wants to come take a class for a few weeks, they
Hmm.
want to take a scene step class or an improvisational class or, a voice class or choreography class. And if, or an on camera class, that's very popular. People like to see what they do on camera with different genres of different scripts. The conservatory program, it's a program where people come to study for a year and 2 years and they earn a degree. And they do earn a degree in acting or a degree in filmmaking. And people come from all over the United States and they come from all over the world. And it's very popular. People forge lifelong relationships in those programs because one of the things about acting is you find community around you. And so that's, I think, why a school is such a great thing to attend. You hear stories about people, oh, I met this person in that school or in that program. Yeah, so our schools really bring people together and have an incredible faculty of teachers whose mission is to impart the craft to the next generation because there is a craft in acting that you have to learn and you have to nurture and work on.
Yeah, I think that anytime you listen to a creative person kind of talking about their formative years, especially like kind of that college era, that's when they start talking about like, oh, that's when I met, this person that I collaborate with, or that's where I met this person who, has been a mentor or an inspiration to me. Like it's such a important time, and I mean it's a challenging time because that's like when you don't have a lot of resources other than your time, and so it's really interesting. I didn't know there was a difference, but so it's like the acting school is just you can take like one class and the other is like a college.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. The other one's like a college, yeah, but a fun college.
Yeah.
Although I do think, there's been such an interesting conversation about colleges, whether you should go to college. And I learned more outside of college than in college. However, the experience that you have in college, meeting friends and doing college,
Hmm.
things, it's a fun thing to do. And so I think that it's part of the trajectory of life. And,
Yeah, for sure. And my youngest is doing graphic design work and sign making, and they went to a vocational high school, and I was kind of jealous because when I was a kid, they didn't have that option in a vocational school, and it's just like there's so many things that I feel like we could give kids a jump start on if we just gave them those kind of classes. And it's always the theater and the art class and the music classes. Those are always the ones that seem to get cut from the budget first.
Exactly. Yes, that's right. But not, you know, in other countries, they have grants to support that and they have programs. Here, you have to find it yourself and do it yourself.
Yeah. Um, do you find a lot of uh I should ask, is it mostly younger people that sign up for the conservatory, or do you get,
For
people
the
trying to,
conservatory,
yeah.
yes. For the standalone classes, I mean, I have had students that were in their 80s. You know, one of my great inspirations is the actress June Squidd. As a matter of fact, I met her and told her, "You're an inspiration to me." And yesterday, you know, there were the Tony Awards here. I'm actually in New York City today. I live in Los Angeles, but I'm in New York.
Oh,
My
nice.
nephew's graduating this week. And so I went to see Death of a Salesman on Saturday night, and it won yesterday the Tony Award. And June Squidd, the 95-year-old actress, was nominated for a Tony. And she had performed, she was on Broadway with Marjorie Prime, a play called Marjorie Prime that I had gone to see in December with a mask because I was sick, but I
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
see her on stage. And then, wouldn't you know it, that a month later I got to meet her in person. And, you know, so, and I remember having this 80-year-old and this 79-year-old, you know, actor in class at one point. And I loved that because you never stop learning, no matter how old you are. And that's what I feel I want to be. I
Yeah.
want to be a student of life, a student of theater, a student of cinema, all the way until, you know, 100. So yeah, I think that there's people of all ages, and you know, people have gone the corporate route because their parents told them, you know, it's so difficult to get a job as an actor that
Hmm.
they pursued something, you know, more safe, more secure, and then they find, you know, that they're in their 50s or 60s and they have new awakening. And they want to pursue acting because that was their dream. That's always what they wanted to do. So those standalone classes offer classes for people of all ages.
It's funny. You just reminded me of a podcast that I did, I think like 6 years ago. It was in the height of COVID. And a PR person asked me if I was interested in interviewing Kate Linder. She's a soap opera actress, and
Hmm.
she's been playing like the same character for like decades. And towards the end of the interview, she's like, "Well, she's like, this has been really great." She's like, "I have to go. I have an acting class," and I'm like, "Why are you going to an acting class? You've been playing the same character." And she goes, "Oh, you never stop learning." And I was like, "Oh man, that is a great lesson to learn. You should never stop learning." And it's I think that's great, and it's one of
Well,
those
isn't
things that,
that what's absolutely wonderful about living?
yeah.
Is that it never stops, you know?
And I feel like every time you learn something, it shows you how little you know, because every time you learn something, it opens up like a whole new array of things that you need to learn.
Absolutely. You know, it never ends. And that's what's brilliant about living in this world. You wake up every day with something new to learn, many new things to learn.
Is there like trends that go through styles of acting? Like, right now we're just like in a glut of superhero movies, but like, is there like, I don't know, like, is there a hot new acting method that like people try to like push, and some people are more traditional? Like, can you give me a little more idea on what the different
Great
acting methods
question.
are?
It's a great question. Well, listen, I'm just going to go with the major hits the last few weeks, right?
Okay, sure.
So this movie Obsession
Yep.
has, you know, made a lot of money at the box office. As a matter of fact, one of the producers of it was the same producer of a movie that I shot in Italy a year and a half ago with Tony Collette and Andy Garcia. So I went to the movie theater to see Obsession, and it was very good. I mean, it was very, very good and very real. And
Yeah.
so I think needs to tap into something that feels like it's really, really happening, that it's very real, not theatrical. I mean, that's the reason why reality shows have caught fire. People are fascinated in being, uh, almost voyeurs looking through the peephole to see what's really happening.
Yeah.
And then, oh God, why am I blanking this? I'll look it up while I say.
Sure, sure.
In Death of a Salesman, the wonderful actress, and Meryl Streep went viral. Nicholas, darling, who won the Tony yesterday for Death of a Salesman? I'm jet lagged, so you have to know that. I am
Sure.
like, Laurie Metcalf won,
Yeah.
that was a given because the performance she gives on Broadway on Death of a Salesman is what every young actor that studies acting should aspire to. It was so real, but it had not only the combination of something that felt so real, that was so powerful, but also large choices. So when you think of large choices in acting, you think, oh, it's theatrical. But no, it wasn't theatrical. It just had a largesse that was true to life.
Yeah.
And I think that those two examples, one on film and the other one is a genre movie, obviously, and the other one is a very powerful performance by an iconic actress on stage to the point that Meryl Streep went viral when she said she needs to retire from acting after seeing Laurie Metcalf,
Oh wow.
in Death of a Salesman. Very, all but real performances. So I think the actor really is looking to make it as real as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something about, some actors just have this real ability to make it seem so natural that I think as the viewers we become accustomed to seeing it. We don't realize it until we see bad acting. And then you're like, oh well, that person's, quote unquote acting and it's not bad, but you know, Tom Hanks is just so natural. Everything he does on screen just seems like he's not acting. That's just his natural way. And it's I think it's I've done very, very little acting in my life, but it's pretty challenging to make it the words you're saying over and over again to sound natural and like the first time you said them.
Well, especially when you're doing 8 performances a week here on Broadway.
Yeah, for sure.
That's You have to have a craft in order to do that.
So I've heard some actors talking about like when they have to go like into like real deep emotional places that it can take a physical toll on them because their body doesn't know they're not actually upset, so they're physically going through the things that you're either terrified or whatever the emotion they're portraying. Do you teach like some sort of, I don't know if recovery is the right word, but like post acting to kind of like get back to an even keel? Is that something that actors find challenging?
Well, every actor is different. So you find ways to take care of yourself, to protect yourself. I remember I was working with an actress on a horror movie, and she said that she never brought the script in the house, and she never brought any of the clothing that she would wear as the character in the house. She would leave everything in the car.
Oh, interesting.
So to create that separation, I thought that that was very interesting.
Yeah.
I always say, they say you pop a vein, you go deep inside of yourself, and then they say cut, and you go, where's my hot chocolate? Where's the party to go?
Yeah.
But that's not to make it so simplistic, but because there's a price to pay to go to that place.
Hmm.
For instance, again, because it's so fresh in my mind, Christopher Abbott in Death of a Salesman, who was nominated for a Tony. He didn't win, but it gave on Saturday. So just Saturday night, usually it's 2 performances, 3-hour play. So you're 6 hours on stage pretty much. And that monologue that Biff has in Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, where he tells his father, this is who I am. He hit every single note of it in such a powerful way. I'm sure he slept really well that night. That's also what happens when you get emotional in real life.
Yeah,
In
for
real
sure.
life, when we meltdowns, and we, really have a good cry. You have a good sleep after that night. Um, but there's a price to pay to go to that place. That's why it's not easy to act. It takes a lot of bravery, it takes a lot of courage to be an actor. But it's also very rewarding because you get to teach. You also get to be a teacher. And when I understood that about acting, I became less neurotic about it. That you teach humanity. That's your job, to hold up a mirror about what it's like to really be human. And when you really realize that, the extent of that, then, the price is there to pay still to go to that place. But you know that you're contributing something, you know that you're giving something. And I think that's rewarding.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I didn't even think of it like that. It's always those kind of like little moments where, I always joke that like I'll look at our podcast downloads and it's a number, but then I meet one single person who talks about, listening to an episode or whatever, and it blows my mind. It's like, is that personal connection between you and one other person, I think is so much more rewarding than, numbers or, press or anything like that. It's just like when you have that one person that, singles you out for, in a meaningful way. Like I'm assuming you must get that from the students too, when they come back and, you know, talk about the effect your schooling had on them.
Very much so, yes. As a matter of fact, I did a movie called Miranda's Victim. It was the last movie that Donald Sutherland did a few years back. And I kept in touch with a wonderful actor that I adore called Enrique Murciano. He works quite a lot. And as I was his first teacher. And as I've watched him throughout the years, become successful and land roles, I always applauded. And, it was just I knew when he was in class how special he was and how much he had to give to the world of acting. And so there was a perfect part that opened up for him, Detective Cooley in this movie Miranda's Victim that I directed.
Yeah.
And he kills it. He's so good in it. He's so good. Wonderful actor.
So you direct too, not so you act, you teach, you direct. You kind of do it
Yes,
all.
I love to direct. I don't know if I
Yeah.
do it all, but I try to do it all. No, I mean I love directing. I mean, it all means that I'm just passionate about storytelling because it's all about telling stories,
Yeah.
from different métiers. But I'd love to act if it's the right part. I love to direct if it's the right movie. And I'll always love to teach.
What in your experience, what makes it the right movie? Is it a genre? Is it a particular script that speaks to you? Like how do you determine if it's a movie you want to act in or direct or
Yeah, no, it has to be a story that I want to tell, that I feel that I understand something humanly about it, and that should be told. I mean, not every story should be told. Some stories can be told just for entertainment purposes. Some of them can be told for educational purposes. Some of them, are told because, like I said, you have to hold up a mirror and remind people, to be more kind to someone else or more human. But you have to connect to it in a way that's going to make you want to give to it because that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time that you give to making a movie. I always say it's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of work.
yeah, it I feel that way kind of about any creative field. And a lot of times people ask me, oh, what would you tell someone who wants to start a podcast? And I always have the weirdest advice, and my advice is don't do it. And then I follow that up with, if me saying don't do it is going to stop you in any way, shape, or form, then you don't have the stick to itiveness to do that kind of thing. You kind of have to be pretty stubborn and just kind of know what you want to do and do it regardless of what other people are going to say.
And also, you have to do it. I'm sure you don't always want to do it. And you have to do it when you don't want to do it. You have to develop that muscle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have said before, I'm like, it's when I started the podcast, I didn't really think acting was going to be part of it, but there are those days where, I'm having a bad day and, I still have to log on and give the podcast my best, even though for whatever reason I can't send out a single email today. But you have to let that kind of go and just kind of do the put out your best for your guest and your listeners. And but yeah, I mean that's got to be incredibly challenging when you're acting.
Yeah, you have to really be consistent and you have to follow through and you have to do it, especially when you don't feel like doing it, when it's hard. And you have to do it anyway. And that's the muscle that you develop.
Are there So if there's aspiring actors out there, are there kind of like what's like the most basic step that they should be doing to kind of like work that muscle?
I think you should study. You should understand what it takes. I know when I used to go to the bank to make deposits, I remember this one teller at Wells Fargo that said, "What do you do?" And I'm, "Oh, I teach acting." And she go, "Oh, yeah, I can do that." And, every Uber driver that I have take, "Oh, yeah, I want to act." But, people don't understand that oh, no, it's not as complicated as if you went to medical school to be a brain surgeon. But, however, there is a craft that is involved.
Sure.
And behooves the artist to learn what it is and to tailor it for them, to create their own very personalized, their very own unique toolbox.
Yeah, and there's something about that, you know, there's Uber drivers or servers or bartenders, whatever, that want to act or want to be in a band or um I mean anybody can say that, but it's the difference between saying it and having the drive. Um for quite a while we were running some local comedy shows as part of what we do. And this kid came up to me in a bar and he's like, "Oh, I was told to talk to you. I want to be a stand-up comic." And Mike told me I should talk to you. And I kind of like rolled my eyes at Mike and I'm like, "Ugh, here we go." Like, and I kind of just was like, "Go to this open mic and talk to AJ." And I'm like, "That's it. That's all I'm telling you, and the rest is on you." And he's doing great now. Like he's always kind of like, "Oh, you discovered me," and I'm like, "I didn't discover you. You put the work in." And then he started to get a little bit of success around here, and I'm like, "Don't forget, I discovered you." It's there's something you need, that kind of drive to push yourself, I think.
Absolutely. That's very important. But the good news is that if you don't have it, or if you don't have the drive and you don't have the discipline, those are things that can be acquired. You can work on that.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. It's not something that, yeah, I mean, of course, if it's ingrained in your DNA, if you get that chip, then great. But if you don't have it, you can really work on it. I really believe that because I'm a great believer in people having the ability to grow and change. I remember once in college, I had a roommate that was studying to be a psychiatrist, and we would have heated discussions until 2 o'clock in the morning about the human being's power to change. And I believed with all of my, idealistic views that that was absolutely the case in this lifetime. And she would argue against it, which was so ironic because of the profession she
I
was
was gonna say,
pursuing.
I feel like if you're gonna be
Uh,
a psychiatrist, you should think people can change.
yeah, well, she was very, I don't know what the word is. She was very jaded about what she thought could happen.
Yeah,
And so I'll always remember that. I'll always remember how we argued it out till the wee hours of the morning.
that's so funny. So I remember when I was in art school, there were amazing artists and they didn't really go anywhere. And my argument was always art school gives you the fundamentals of like how to draw and paint and how to learn to get better at that. But I feel like they kind of always miss business side of it and felt like there should be, you know, how to assemble your portfolio and like how to read a contract and those kind of things. In the conservatory, is there, do you teach the business end too?
We do. We have a class about the business of acting and to really understand it and to understand how to put people around you that can help you. And I believe that, even though you're not a lawyer, so you're not going to really know how to read a contract, you should learn a little bit how to read the fine print
Mm-hmm.
and to ask questions, to really want to understand it. I remember I just always had a block with not wanting to understand anything. Well, I'm very lucky. I also, my sister's an attorney.
Oh,
So,
that's a plus.
but
Yeah.
I still, yeah, but even though she's a brilliant attorney, I still read. I read and I ask the questions because I want to understand it.
Yeah, and I feel like especially with contracts, it's easy to see something and you don't want to look dumb, so you don't ask the question, but that's usually the one thing that you need to ask a question about because if it's worded weirdly, it's probably a reason why it's worded that way.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
exactly right. So learn how to read the fine print.
nice. So do you have any projects coming up? Like what are you working on a movie that you can talk about or
I am. I am. Well, first of all, I'm editing a movie that is called Starstruck. It's a romantic comedy about astrology, and we're in
okay.
post production right now. It's super cute and funny and entertaining. Matthew Daddario, who I worked with in another movie called The Italians, is in it, and Alice, the actress Alice Eve, and Billy Zane, Lauren Tom, Doug Jones, Josh Bowman, David DeLuise, Jennifer Grant, Catherine Bell. I have some wonderful actors in
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. It's fun and light. So I'm doing that, and I'm prepping for a movie that hopefully we'll be shooting late fall called Helios. It's a sci-fi thriller, and it also has great cast attached to it. And it'll be interesting to keep working on that. So I have some wonderful projects. I'm working on some other projects as well. I always say when you're directing, you develop different stories. So you have different planes on the runway, and sometimes you don't know which plane's going to take off first. You're preparing each plane for takeoff. And the first one that gets the fuel is the first one that goes up. And you still need, once you get the fuel, you still need a few months to really, really prepare it. I'm a great believer in that preparation.
That's a great way of looking at it because I'm very much the kind of person that has multiple projects going, but to kind of think of it as, your air traffic control and they're all planes and you're just trying to get them off the ground and make sure they don't crash. But
Exactly.
yeah, that I'm sure that fuel is always money though. You got to get the funding to
It's always about the money. It's always about that. Yeah.
yeah, it's I actually just met a actually that's a lie. I've met him several times. I just found out he was an associate producer on a movie that shot down here on Cape Cod. And I'm like, how did you end up doing that? And he was just kind of the guy he was the guy who knows the guy and just connected everybody with the money. And he's like, they ended up giving me an associate producer's credit. And he's like, they'd call me up and be like, we need a 1980s TV. And he's like, I got you. So it's that kind of networking is a talent in and of itself.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're raising money for different projects and we're meeting people, and you have to inspire them to do that.
Is that your least favorite part of doing what you do? Because I feel like when you get into creative fields, you have what you want to do in your dreams and your favorite parts, but then there's the business side that you're kind of like, I didn't realize I was going to have to do marketing or social media. Is there like a part that you really kind of
No, I really like that. I think marketing and social media and even meeting with investors and doing the business of it, I think it's crucial. I think it doesn't help you to not like it. I think you have to find ways to like it. Because if not, it doesn't put you, in control. It doesn't give you the freedom to do the art. So one doesn't come without the other one.
oh
I
for
did
sure.
sign up for a movie where they asked me to be a producer, and I said no, I'll just be the director because I wanted to see what it was like to not have to worry about, the stuff that I didn't want to have to worry about. I didn't want to have to worry about the cost of this or the trailers there or all that. And it didn't work out too well for me because at the end of the day, I had to do that too because,
Uh, yeah,
because I'm good at it for one, and because I see the whole picture, when I'm making a movie. So I learned that unfortunately one doesn't come without the other, so you might as well learn to like
yeah.
the other. Yeah.
I'm very much a person who has a hard time letting go of things to fully be in someone else's control. That kind of, all right.
Well, I would have
Yeah,
liked to do that, but
yeah,
it wasn't in the cards. But that's fine. You learn from every experience.
for
That's why you
sure.
have experiences. You can
Yeah,
learn. Yeah.
nice. Where can our listeners go to find out more about what you're working on, your schools, find all those details that,
MichelleDanner.com. There's the websites of the Michelle Danner Acting Studio and the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory, and you can request a call or an interview where we get in touch with you and tell you how to, the next steps. If you want to know more about the movies, it's All In Films is the name of my production company. And MichelleDanner.com also takes you places. I'm on Instagram. I'm Danner LA, Actors International for the Instagram. And of course, the social media, TikTok, Facebook, X, all of that.
I just thought so. Do you have like online classes for people? Is that,
Yes, we
yeah?
do. We have several online classes and also online classes in Spanish with Spanish teachers.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
Obviously, the Zoom classes were more popular when COVID was happening,
Yeah,
and people loved the Zoom just to be in touch and to feel like they were doing something creative. But I think that and it's not as, popular as it was back then. Thank God, because if not, we'd be all home and going
yeah.
out with masks. So good that it's not. But they have stayed, and it's a great way to connect actors from all over the world. And, the community of artists is international. I love Zoom classes. I teach the one breaking into the industry, the business of acting. I teach that on Zoom.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's I gotta say when we started the podcast, I was kind of a stickler and I'm like, I'm not gonna interview anyone that I can't sit in the same room with. And then COVID happened and I was like, well, let me reconsider my position. I always prefer sitting in the room with people, but I mean, we've just the amount of people that we've been able to reach out to is just so much more uh impressive and been so much more fun. And want to say I want to say thanks for coming on the show.
It's a good tool. It was a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to check out the school. Maybe you have acting and podcasting. But no, it's been an
Great.
absolute pleasure, and congratulations on all your hard work. And listeners, make sure you check out Michelle Danner's schools and her website to find out what movies she's going to be in and or directing. And again, Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. All right, listeners, and we'll catch you guys again next Monday. Thanks for listening to today's episode, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art. For a few dollars, you can support the podcast, and it's a great way to help us out to make sure that we get more episodes for you in the future. And you can email us at inebriart@yahoo.com with your questions and complaints. You can follow us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And thank you again for listening. Make sure you check out all the other shows that we have to offer. There's Bar Talk Podcast. There's Inebri-art. There's the Old Colony Cast and our newest show, The Long Dark Walk. If you're into true crime, you should check that one out. That one comes out in season chunks, so it's not a weekly show, but you can go back and binge the old episodes and check out the new season when it airs.